Hey everyone. So, in earlier clips, I've described the urge that I have to capture and heighten how I experience different kinds of islands in nature and where I think that comes from. That's taken a bunch of different forms over the years, actually, over about 35 years so far. And in this clip and in a few others, I'm going to share the earlier stages of that journey that led up to the style of watercolor maps that I'm making now. It all starts way back with four paintings that I did during high school and college. The first one was a high school project, roughly inspired by a visit to Tarangire National Park in Tanzania. This one doesn't involve islands, but it is about this idea of geographical compression. I wanted to show the length of a watercourse all at once by combining views from the ground and from above. And plants were already my main thing by this time, but this trip was a safari, so I couldn't really leave out the animals. The other three paintings, which are in oil, that first one was just in tempera, do bring in the different kinds of islands that I've talked about before. This one's inspired by a different part of that same East Africa trip, a drive of about 5 hours from the Great Rift Valley up and into Ngorongoro Crater and down to the Serengeti. So moving in and out of desert, forest, and savanna. And this photo here is a view into the crater. So I wanted to try squeezing all of this ecological whiplash into a single view. This one ended up being more cartoonish than abstract, with no consistent scale or perspective. The next one, the one next to me here, was for a college self portrait assignment. It was a pretty good likeness of me at the time, I would say, but otherwise it's totally fantastical with this surreal background landscape of desert and volcanic cones juxtaposed with this impossibly steep, misty, cloud forested mountain. I think of all of this as being squeezed onto a remote oceanic island. So it's kind of a bunch of island types nested together. To make this scenery relevant to the actual assignment, I thought of it as symbolizing some sort of internal conflict, though I forget what that might have been at the time, if it was even anything specific. The volcanoes themselves might have had something to do with reading The Little Prince when I was much younger. And finally, the fourth painting, immediately post college, is of another fantastical place. It's meant to capture the complete experience of an imaginary island, volcanic again, of course. This one goes back to the more abstract or cubist approach of the first painting with the elephants, but it takes it a lot farther, and it's the most obvious stylistic precursor to my current watercolor maps. So I've gone back earlier in the creative journey than I'd been planning to, but these paintings together encapsulate the stylistic direction that I ultimately ended up following, combined with others that I could have chosen instead to convey this fixation that I have with geographical compression. Also, I think they show a kind of playfulness or eccentricity. That's what my teacher said about the self portrait, that the later works tend not to have as much. But it is a quality that I don't want to lose, and it does keep bubbling up to the surface every so often. So that's the beginning of it all. See you next time when the journey continues.